Hello everybody, welcome back, or if this is your first time watching a video with me, I'm Mariah, and I'm the writer and artist on the webcomic and graphic novel series Six Petal Pyramid. So here I am in this video inking. So I'm creating the final lines for this comic page, which is page 54 of the comic, and so basically I'm tracing my sketches and my 3D model that I made mostly from scratch with some help. Not much, but some help, I have to admit, yes. I downloaded some furniture that was for free online, but otherwise I made the furniture too. So yeah. So that's a process talk for another video. Today I thought that I would talk about archaeology a little bit, since it's a story where our protagonist finds a mummy in the attic of a deceased archaeologist's haunted house. Because I was inspired by some of the archaeologists I've been listening to lately, who have podcasts and a YouTube channel or YouTube channels, and who write like articles. I've just been really inspired lately by the young archaeologists. I grew up on Discovery Channel before Ancient Aliens came on History Channel. So the Discovery Channel back in the day had stuff with mummies that, like, I was young enough but interested enough to watch, but then immediately, like, stay up at night, like, imagining mummies looking at me through the window. So, pretty young age, yeah. But I was fascinated, and I would get books from the library on mummies, and it evolved into other ancient cultures and science and biology. And then at some point, yes, I saw the Ancient Aliens show on History Channel. And at first, so the first 3 seasons are pretty good. The first 3 seasons, and then after that they get crazy, and I lost interest. I don't think I ever believed it, but what I used to do was I would take notes, even watching, Ancient Aliens and other documentaries, and then, like, look up those sites. Because, without those weird, sensationalist, conspiracy theories, I wouldn't know what certain places of the planet even have to offer, I wouldn't know that there are lines that are the Nazca lines, and that once you look up Nazca, you come up with, a couple miles away is this ancient city of Corral, which has one of the oldest pyramids on the planet. And if you didn't, look up, I guess it's just it's a rabbit hole, because then you're like, oh, remember that one thing that you heard about, that one thing, like Machu Picchu, like, isn't that Peruvian? Like, let me look that one up. And then you figure out the trade routes between Peru into the Amazon. The fact that they have like illustrations of Amazonian monkeys in super high altitude Peru. You're like, oh wow, did you know that? Like, they, of course people traded. And anyway, so that is an example of somebody like me, or some normal person who didn't go to school for archaeology, becoming super excited about archaeology and history from what is called pseudo-archaeology. So pseudo-archaeology is pretty much every conspiracy theory you see on Discovery Channel, mostly History Channel, I would think, nowadays. And as exciting as it is, it's creating problems. Apparently, I mean, obviously, but I didn't realize it was to the extent it was until I started to listen to these modern up-and-coming archaeologists, or up-and-coming might be insulting, but they're people that are not a whole lot older than I am. I'm 24. So I'm listening to this group of archaeologists do a podcast called A Life in Ruins. And, they're oftentimes talking about their college experience, which makes me nostalgic for my college experience. I haven't been out super long, so I'm still like, in that mindset somewhat for some reason. And they bring on some super cool people, so through them I've found a YouTube channel by Raven DaSilva. I don't remember. It's called Dig It with Raven. I think it's DaSilva. Yeah, anyway. And then she and her friend Jude, I forgot Jude's last name as well, Jude, they do videos where they talk about like the accuracies and inaccuracies of different movies, like The Mummy, of course, which, it's super cute to watch real archaeologists who understand the political side of things too. They love the movie The Mummy, right? But it's wrong. It's really, really wrong in a lot of ways, and it's super entertaining, and it makes people interested in archaeology. But anybody will tell you, like, sometimes it can get confusing when your fiction has archaeology in it that is not real, and then treats it like it's real. It's a little confusing. Like the Magi, you think, oh yeah, so that's probably like the bodyguard of the pharaoh, right? That's a real thing, but it's not exactly real. It sounds real, so it can kind of confuse you. So another archaeologist that I found that has done at least one article on the topic, maybe several, is her name is Steph Halmhofer. And she did an article on, she does several articles on archaeology and comics. So I was really interested when she found me first, and then I found her work, because I was like, oh no, because archaeology and comics gets pretty crazy. Like, for me, what I'm doing right now is inking the ghosts of the Almatev family. They're from Kazakhstan, but they're living in northern Virginia right now. The archaeologist himself is not present on this art page, but he's off, I guess, somewhere else. Anyway, these are the ghosts. These are his wife and kids, and their outfits are historically accurate to the time period. These outfits are they are Kazakh, but they're Victorian era. And so yeah, like the little the ribbons in the one daughter's hair, that's accurate. The patterns are accurate. I think the son, the little boy, is more I think that was just a generic Victorian outfit that I found. But the girls are accurate to if they had, gotten their clothes in Kazakhstan and then brought them right over. But actually they've been living here for a little bit, so anyway, that's beside the point. The point is that I researched. And before I got sidetracked by the outfits, Steph Halmhofer did a specific article. Let me pull it up real quick. The Harmful Pseudo-Archaeology of Mythological Atlantis. I thought that was a super interesting read, because I pulled it up thinking that it was going to be this article on how using any sort of fiction at all is wrong in archaeology. And there is a point that she makes where if your archaeology in your story is fiction, and you don't explain it, and you don't know that it's fiction, that it can be harmful, Like, you know, you want people to look up stuff on their own for sure, and you want fantasy. Fantasy is obviously very valuable, but you just have to be careful about convincing people that, for an example, would be that there was like a super advanced group of people that lived in some spot, and then they were replaced, I guess, by who really lived there in real life, and that can get insulting. And a lot of pseudo-archaeology is pretty disrespectful, to be honest. So pseudo-archaeology to archaeology is like flat earthers to science, you know what I mean? So pseudoscience would be flat earthers, and ancient aliens would be the pseudo-archaeology of archaeology. It's specific to the ancient aliens, because I had talked about that earlier, is that they for some reason assume that aliens built certain monuments but not others, and when they decide which monuments were built by the aliens versus the ones that were built by humans, you notice a trend that Mayan pyramids and Egyptian pyramids were built by aliens. But, you know, guess who built the Roman Colosseum? Oh, that was obviously the Romans, right? Nobody's questioning that, right? Nobody's questioning the Roman capability there, right? So it's pretty flawed. It's really kind of insulting. Like, we have all the evidence you could ever want that the Egyptians built their pyramids. We've got the layouts. We know who built them. We've got the names. We've got the dates. It's, you know, why is that coming into question? Well, it's because at the Victorian age and older, these explorers were going out. They weren't archaeologists. They weren't looking for history. They were treasure hunters. They were blowing up pyramids in Nubia, like trying to find gold. That was the goal, to have something to bring home, to put in your curio cabinet and show off to your friends and unwrap at parties, like mummy unwrapping parties, which is obviously really kind of like gross, like stripping a dead person in front of your friends. Okay. Anyways, small tangent, I guess. Just problematic. Just problematic. Anyways, what was I getting to with that? So bringing that back to Six Petal Pyramid, which is the book I'm working on. Obviously, there are some fantasy elements. This is a mummy who comes back to life, and it's finding out why. It's finding out who killed him. It's finding out what's going to happen next. And that's dealing with history. So automatically, it's pseudo-archaeology. But I was aware of what that is and the implications early on enough that I started really, really making sure that I was handling the topics respectfully. So, unlike most treasure hunters at the time, when we do our flashbacks to Dr. Almutov, the archaeologist, searching for the pyramid where he finds the mummy, he's asking permission. He's asking locals for their permission, their blessing, asking for their help. He's being respectful, which is not accurate to the time period, unfortunately, but Dr. Almutov is a sweet guy, okay? It's fiction. He can be sweet if I want him to be. He's made up. Although, I don't know if I was planning on mentioning this or not, he is loosely based on a Latin teacher I had. in 5th grade. So, is that relevant? I don't know. Although the dude really did make me curious about the world, so, you know, I do kind of credit him a little bit. Maybe that's just what I'll do, is spend the next couple minutes until this thing is over just like giving credit to people. I don't know. Oh yeah, so one person I forgot to mention who's super cool is Dr. David A. Anderson, who is a professor of pseudoarchaeology, and he's a Mayanist, at Radford in Virginia, and I found out about him on a Life in Ruins podcast. He's in episode 11. That's it for the shoutouts. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you for the next video. Bye!